So this is our last week with working with this factor of awakening energy, virya, and balanced energy, uh, and boy, it's such a poignant subject for us. In this business of the four exertions, the four great endeavors. When the wholesome is around, keep it around. When the wholesome is not around, when the unwholesome is not around, this is the one that I would like to focus on. When the unwholesome is not around, don't invite it. These instructions are so simple and so obvious in a way. Of course, we don't want to invite the unwholesome around if it's not around. Of course, we want to keep the wholesome around when it's around. Yeah? Sounds so simple. Why doesn't he call them the four most obvious things? Well, why does he call them the four great exertions, the four great endeavors? Yeah? Yeah. There's something about our complexity. And I would suggest that there's a certain poignant attachment that we have to our suffering. If we look more closely at it, we have these patterns that we keep repeating, and we keep stepping into these places. Don't all of us that lead us to feel stressed, to feel anxious, to feel depressed, to feel oppressed, to feel under the weather, to feel blue, to feel angry, to feel irritated. These are all the afflictive emotions. And it seems as if these patterns run rather deep in us, and so it's not so simple to simply not invite the wholesome around when it's not around. When we take a closer look at this, how and why are we doing this? How is it that we can't seem to stop doing it? Do you know? Of course, there's this wonderful, there is this sense in these practices that once we see pretty clearly what we're doing and how we're continuing to propagate, to continue to bring forward more suffering moments in our lives, that we'll be able to stop it. That we'll be able to put it down. That we'll probably be able to do less of it, right? And yet, it's such a painstaking and gradual path in that direction. There are certain ways that we are attached to the devil we know, as that expression goes. It's the devil we know. Who would I be if I don't feel lonely sometimes, and depressed sometimes, and anxious sometimes, and irritable? Who would I be? Would I even recognize myself? One of the I think you've all heard this one. It's that four. I've mentioned it here before in this sangha, but the one where it's like in four quartets. I walk down the street, I step in a hole. Next day, I walk down the street. I'm going to do the short version of it, right? The next day, I see the hole. I see, I'm about to step in it, and I still step in it. The next day, I see it, and gradually, the idea is I learn to walk around. I learn to walk around it, right? Yeah. What is so moving to me, I'm using the word poignant a lot today in this regard, is that not so fast. I stepped into the same hole 1,000 times. Haven't you? Isn't it? Some of these patterns just keep repeating, not necessarily in these huge ways, but in these everyday days, in these everyday little ways. The dukkha that the Buddha talked about, again, that definition of dukkha is, which is the axle doesn't fit in the wheel well of the cart very well. So when every time the cart turns, it goes bump, 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 bump. And a lot of our day is like that. It's more like the little uh, uh, the little things that irritate me. Oh, now I'm bored. Now I'm irritated. Now I'm grouchy. Now I'm cranky. Now, not all day long, but how many times do we step into, find ourselves into stepping into something that's a little bit unwholesome, just for a moment? Sometimes, oh, that driver just cut me off. And the key here is, a lot of the times we think these are things that are just happening to me. That's why the whole unwholesome arises, because things keep happening to me. That's why. That driver cut me off. That's why. Right? That's why I just got irritated. Yeah. Okay. But in these practices, this is one of the hard parts of these practices. It asks us to take a closer look and to stop thinking so much that these negative states are happening to me, but seeing more how, if I look more closely, there's a part of me that's all too willing to invite a negative response. In other words, I'm participating. We need to take a closer look at the degree to which we are participating in continuing to co-create our own dukkha. Now, that's a hard one to look at. It's a hard one to look at. I thought dukkha was just happening to me, not that I'm participating in co-creating it, right? But the good news is, because I've been participating in co-creating it, maybe I haven't seen that clearly enough. It also means I can participate in learning to stop it. I can begin, if I'm mindful, when I'm mindful, begin to go, I have a choice to either not be irritated or not be as irritated for as long, or to see what I'm doing and to begin to short circuit it. Some of these, when we invite the negative in, when it comes in, how it spins and spins and spins and spins. That maybe there's some possibility of not inviting it so much, or not staying with it quite as long, And this is the hard work of the practice. It's some of the hard art of the practice, is taking responsibility for these patterns that have been created over a long period of time in us, around these little momentary dukkha, these dukkha moments, and learning, they're happening because I've participated in them for a long time, and now there's an option. Now there's an option. Now there's an option. But that doesn't mean because I see that it's going to stop. Because these patterns have a momentum. They have a momentum. They have a kind of almost a life of their own. They keep arising. They keep arising. And so it's almost like, step by step. This is always the humbling part of the practice. We keep waiting for that big insight that's just going to change it all. And it doesn't work that way. It's in this moment, can I take out the thorn? At this moment, can this moment, and in this moment, can I not invite the unwholesome? And in this moment, how about this breath? It always rolls back to creating a new habit, a new pattern, when we can, as we can, moment by moment, whenever we can do it. Yeah. So that's why these are great exertions, because there are deeply ingrained patterns in us to still invite the unwholesome around, and to keep it around sometimes a little overlong, you know, like we're kind of doing that to ourselves. And this is what the Buddha invited us to look more closely into, and to begin then to create the new habit as best we can, moving forward. Yeah, moving forward. Yeah. So I want to bring that one up because of all of the four, it's the most poignant to me. You know, when the unwholesome is around, don't bring it around. And of course, I don't want to do that. And of course, I keep doing it. Of course, that those patterns are even more deeply ingrained than I realized. So this is like getting back to it, and day by day, moment by moment, really. When I notice it, letting it go a little bit more quickly. And sometimes we can keep it even from arising. We can see it coming and going, no, yeah, yeah. So this is our practice with energy also, and with right effort. Yeah. So thank you so much for your attention as always, and let's practice together, and we'll see how we can do with this next meditation period to not bring the unwholesome around if it's not around, right? Yeah. Oh. Opening it up, opening it up. Hmm. And when you're ready, and to your degree, slowing it down and lightly closing the eyes. And moving the attention down into the breath, the body. First of all, right, at the beginning, we're bringing more wholesome around. How do we bring more wholesome around? In the settling, in creating some space, in softening. And when you've settled to some extent, yeah, when there's just a little bit more ease, well, then the invitation is to keep that around and to not invite the unwholesome around. And that's the practice here. It's not one and done. It's something that we repeat, a repeated invitation to keep the wholesome around and not invite the unwholesome around. Softening and allowing. And the last few minutes of the meditation, settling back a bit more and softening.